Most people will never escape the orbit of average, not because they lack talent, not because they lack opportunity, but because they've been programmed to believe that average is all they deserve. From the moment you're born, the world hands you a script. It whispers, follow the rules, don't stand out, fit in, obey, be realistic. But every titan who ever changed the world had to tear that script apart. They had to rewire their minds, line by line, belief by belief, until what once felt impossible became inevitable. Edison rewired his mind after 1,000 failures, and still lit the world. Carnegie rewired his mind from a penniless immigrant into the steel king of an empire. Oprah rewired her mind from poverty and trauma into one of the most powerful voices on earth. This isn't a game of luck. It's a battle of belief. And until you win that battle, nothing outside you changes. You will go to the same job, speak the same language of limitation, surround yourself with the same small thinkers, and wonder why success never seems to knock. The truth, it never knocks. You have to build the door and then kick it open. Rewiring your mind is not a weekend project. It is a demolition, a reconstruction, a spiritual revolt against everything you've been told to settle for. Because the mind, your mind, is either your prison or your passport. You choose which. The first crack in the shell of average begins in the mindset. Average people worship comfort. Greatness demands friction. Most will avoid discomfort like a disease. They retreat the second it gets hard. But the elite, the uncommon, they lean into the storm. They use it. Look around. Every skyscraper of achievement was built on a foundation of deliberate discomfort. Ford was mocked, sued, sabotaged, but he pushed forward because he believed. Not in what was, but in what could be. Your mindset is a garden. Whatever you water grows. Water fear and you grow excuses. Water faith and you grow empires. And the greatest lie you've ever been sold is that mindset is just thinking positive. It's not. It's thinking accurately. Seeing through the fog of doubt, through the haze of failure, and believing, not blindly but relentlessly, that you can become something more. Because belief is not a luxury. It's the oxygen of achievement. You must believe before the world does. You must see the invisible before it becomes visible. That's not motivation. That's physics. Everything man-made you see around you was once just an idea, a blueprint in someone's mind, until belief turned it into reality. Walt Disney was fired from a newspaper for lacking imagination. Let that sink in. The man who built an empire of dreams was told he didn't have the spark. So, what did he do? He rewired his mind to believe in magic, even when the world saw madness. He visioned harder than anyone doubted. That's the game. Belief that's louder than the noise. But belief without clarity is chaos. Clarity. Now that's the next forge in this transformation. Clarity sharpens your focus like a blade. Most people don't fail because they're not working. They fail because they're busy climbing the wrong mountain. They sprint in circles, chasing money, chasing validation, chasing distractions disguised as goals. But clarity says, know who you are, know where you're going, know why it matters. The man who knows his purpose can walk through fire. The one who doesn't gets burned by every little spark. Vision is your inner compass. It must be bigger than your circumstances. See, average minds obey the present. Masterminds create the future. Your environment says, this is your life. Your vision responds, this is only my starting point. Martin Luther King didn't say, I have a plan. He said, I have a dream. And that dream shattered segregation, awakened a nation, moved history forward. Not because it was easy, not because it was likely, but because it was necessary. When your vision becomes necessary, not optional, you will finally stop negotiating with fear. Discipline becomes the fuel. Let's be honest. You already know what to do. You know what foods to eat. what distractions to cut, what work to prioritize. But knowledge without execution is poverty. Discipline is the art of saying no to average so you can say yes to greatness. It's trading dopamine for direction. It's choosing pain now over regret later. People ask, how do I stay motivated? You don't. You outgrow motivation and step into discipline. Motivation is the spark, discipline is the fire, and action is the match. Nothing rewires the mind like consistent action. Not books, not videos, not affirmations. Those are primers, tools. But the transformation happens in motion. The man who studies swimming from the shore will still drown. You must leap into the unknown, stroke by stroke, breath by breath, until the unknown becomes your new normal. Look at Lincoln, defeated in elections, bankrupt, mocked, broken. But he kept moving. He didn't wait for confidence. He created it. Action breeds confidence. Inaction breeds doubt. The longer you sit still, the heavier your fear becomes. But every step forward, no matter how small, is a hammer swing against the wall of average. Gratitude is what keeps you grounded. Because in the climb to greatness, the ego can creep in. But gratitude reminds you that every breath, every challenge, every failure is a teacher. It reframes the pain into power. Carnegie once said, "No man will make a great leader who wants to do it all himself." Gratitude makes you humble enough to learn, wise enough to listen, and strong enough to build with others. But the road isn't straight. Success isn't a staircase. It's a battlefield. Adaptability is your armor. The economy will shift. People will leave. Plans will crumble. And the average will panic. But the great, they adapt. Thomas Edison didn't invent the light bulb in a day. He failed over and over. And each failure was a signal, not a sentence. He didn't say, "I failed." He said, "I found 10,000 ways that won't work." That is adaptability. Resilience is your sword. It is the decision to rise when everything says, "Stay down." To get back up after life knocks the breath out of your lungs. Not because it's easy, but because you decided to. And in that choice, that silent, defiant choice to rise anyway, you become unbreakable. You are not here to play small. You are not here to survive. You are here to rewrite the code of your life. But hear me, this isn't about becoming someone else. It's about remembering who you were before the world told you to shrink. The mind you're living with today, that doubtful, tired, hesitant mind, it is not you. It is software that was installed by school, by society, by silence. And you can replace it. But only if you choose. Only if you say, "No more sleepwalking through life. Rewire your mind." Or remain average. Because no one's coming to save you. No one's handing you greatness. You either build the life you want, or settle for the life you're given. The cost of greatness is high, but the cost of average is your soul. So what will it be? The cage or the key? Because now you know the door was never locked. Good. Then hear this, and hear it deep. Not in your ears, but in your bones. You were not born to blend in. You were not designed to coast, to drift, to echo the voices of the masses who gave up on themselves. You were born with fire in your blood, vision in your eyes, will in your spine. But somewhere along the line, they dimmed your flame. They told you to be realistic, to play it safe, to lower your standards and just be grateful for what you have, even when what you had was mediocrity dressed as comfort. They called your ambition too much, your dreams unreasonable, your hunger selfish. But they were wrong. You weren't too much. You were just too awake for people still sleeping. So now, wake up fully, not in body, in spirit. Rip the curtain off your mind. Burn the old programming. Shatter the illusions that told you who you should be. And ask the only question that matters. What would my life look like if I truly believed in myself? Not just in theory, not just when it's easy, but in the dark, in the cold. When no one claps, when failure bites, when everything inside screams, give up, because that's the forge. That's where the average are filtered out and the legends are born. Let them settle. Let them laugh. Let them shrink to fit inside a world that rewards obedience over originality. But not you. You are done shrinking, done doubting, done being the echo when you were built to be the voice. You are not average. You are not typical. You are not finished. You are the storm that silence never saw coming, the spark that lights 1,000 others, the breaker of cycles, the rebuilder of legacies. So rise. Not tomorrow, not next year, now. Begin again, not because you failed, but because now you understand what not to be. This moment, right here, right now, is your line in the sand. On one side, the life you were conditioned to accept. On the other, the life you were born to create. The average never see that line. The awakened walk across it. So breathe deep, stand tall, and step forward with every cell in your body screaming one undeniable truth. I will rewire my mind, or I will never live free. And freedom, that inner freedom, the kind that no man can give and no system can take. That is your destiny, but only if you fight for it. So go. Wake the world up by waking yourself up first. One belief, one action, one unshakable decision at a time, because you're not just changing your life, you're changing your lineage, your legacy, your future. This is the moment your new story begins. So write it in bold, in blood, in fire, and never again. Settle for average. Not in your mind, not in your life, not ever again.